Australia, known for beaches, hot weather, but also for being the world's heaviest consumers of fast fashion. More than 200 tonnes of clothing end up in Australian landfill each year, and yet the sales keep coming and so do we. That's why we're asking a simple question: why? Why do young Australians, the most socially aware generation in history, keep filling their carts with fast fashion even as there are warnings of our dying planet?
Hi, I'm Marnie, your host from Awareness to Apathy. We'll explore the growing tensions between what we believe and what we buy.
Gen Z is often labelled as a generation of social change. Yet research shows a stubborn attitude-behaviour gap. While there is expression of strong environmental concern, wardrobes full of clothes tell another story. That's why we took it to the streets to gain an understanding of how young Australians perceive fast fashion today.
I actually don't know.
Just wear whatever you want,
Like a trend or like something or some sort, like sort of clothing. I'd say like something where like it'll be popular for like now, but then like later people will just get bored of it.
I wouldn't say it's good for the environment, but it's just like a cheap option of clothes, to be honest.
This dissonance of somewhat knowing but not necessarily acting is widespread. To understand more, I had a discussion early in the week with Kathleen Horton, the senior lecturer at Queensland University of Technology.
And I think it's entirely understandable given the way that fast fashion is marketed, and given the fact that young people in general are much more aware of social justice issues. I think, I do this thing sometimes where I talk to my students about if we think about the consumption of food, if you're kind of into veganism or vegetarianism even, it's a lot easier to live those values. It's very hard if you were to choose only to dress ethically or sustainably via what you actually purchase. And I think, again, we can have a much longer, we can unpack what to consume means. It's very difficult. So I guess my first thing, and I think that the perspective I come from with all of this stuff is I'm not keen on blame, and I'm certainly not keen on blaming individual people, especially not young people. It's not their fault. It's not their fault.
A culture of fashion has started a revolution amongst young Australians where the main objection is pleasure over necessity, ensuring trends are at the forefront of consumers' mind. This isn't a story of impulse buying, but is a result of deliberate strategy.
Fast fashion brands flood media with micro trends, prices to near zero, and normalizing weekly new outfits.
Behind each bargain is what scholars call slow violence. Underpaid workers in the global south, ecosystems poisoned by dyes and microplastics, and natural resources under threat just by these plastic garments coming back into landfills by the masses. Whilst profits are in the billions, the accountability of these brands is minimal.
To understand what it's like to compete with these global giants, I had the opportunity to speak with Nick, founder of Edico, an Australian brand labelled on fair production and sustainability.
So we're fair trade certified.
Yeah.
We're a registered social enterprise, and we're also a B Corp. They're three accreditations which are hard to get, and they're hard to keep as well.
Yeah.
It's one thing to get an accreditation, it's another thing to keep it, because you're continuously being audited, or you're continuously having to prove that you are doing the right thing. So, I encourage people to look out for accreditations which do prove that a company is doing the right thing. Mind you, there are also a lot of accreditations out there which have been set up by the companies themselves to kind of insinuate that they're doing the right thing.
Has that been like a real danger to you, I guess, in terms
Well,
of
it's been a challenge for us because we know people are getting what's the expression, having the wool pulled over their eyes. I mean, they think because something's got a dodgy accreditation on it, it means that they're doing the right thing. Yeah. So I'd be kind of sticking to the accreditations which are credible. I mean, Australians, did I read somewhere, buy 6 times more clothing than what we actually need. So, man, and the only reason why they do that is because it's so cheap. I mean, education has gone up in price, electricity has gone up in price, housing has gone up in price, but for some reason, clothing remains cheap.
Edeco proves another path is possible. Yet, even pioneers face an uneven playing field when these brands don't externalize the true cost of fashion. That's why individual action matters: repairing, reselling, and buying less. Circular fashion can slow the churn. So, focusing blame solely on consumers risks letting corporations off the hook. For real change to happen, it means a demand for structural accountability by binding labour standards and living wage laws, extended producer responsibility for waste, and transparent supply chains reporting enforced by the government. Fast fashion is more than trends. It's a test on how we balance convenience and our conscience. Bridging the behaviour attitude gap starts with us and ends with them, the corporations and the regulators who shape the system. From awareness to apathy in the next chapter depends on ensuring that this fashion industry is being held to the standard that its people and planet deserve.